Well, if there's a slim chance one of you guys watching this video saw one of my last videos talking about my 2026 build for my wife, here's her bike. I did talk briefly about my bike, and thought I might as well make a video. Why not? Documenting this. To the bike shop, no intentions of getting brakes. But when we were discussing, I wanted the PNW lever for the dropper, and he asked me, he said, do you want to get an adapter with it that has the clamp so it doesn't bolt directly to SRAM. So SRAM has this little slot here, and you put a flat nut in there, and you can put a bolt, and you can bolt it directly to that. I said, no, I want to get the one with the clamp just in case I change my mind on my brakes. Fast forward, they're putting everything together. I'll go more into detail on what everything has happened to start to finish on this. But they're putting everything together, and there was something going on with the SRAM Code RC brakes and these Hope rotors. I think it was just simply the wrong brackets. It doesn't matter. He asked me, he said, hey, what do you want to do? And I said, just get the Hope Evos with the GR4s. I was like, let's just go that route. We got Hope rotors that are purple. We've already spent, $200 on rotors. Might as well spend another $700 on brakes or whatever they cost, right? So I was glad I did this. And then they ended up having to buy another clamp here from SRAM for the shifter. Which I think I need to rotate that shifter. I don't know how. I don't know. I wish this was like this way. Like downshift, upshift, downshift, upshift. But no, it's downshift, upshift, like this. It keeps your finger free for the brakes there, but luckily the shop I had never been to before. I have been out of bikes, I'd say, for 9 or 10 years now. I grew up on bikes. Like this, bikes was my passion. I spent most of my time during warm months and a little bit in the sour times of the year, I spent on bikes. I did mountain biking, I did freestyle BMX, I did racing BMX, I did road cycling. I started off, when I was 4 years old, I started riding around without training wheels. And everybody was like, that's wild. Most people don't do that until they're like 6 or 7 or whatever. And I was like, well, whatever. By 5, I had already broke my right collarbone once. And then by 9, I had broke it again, but that was on a dirt bike. Different story. So, I grew this crazy, weird passion about riding bikes. I really liked it. I really saw a future in riding bikes. I knew I was going to ride bikes my entire life. And I don't remember what year, but I think it was like 2015, 2016. I was 15 or 16 years old in that area. And I had, the year before, I had built a Sunday Aaron Ross orange soda BMX bike. It's a freestyle BMX bike. It was a very rare frame. I'd ordered off eBay, and I had pieced together this bike that resembled Aaron Ross's pro bike from a year or two before. It was all orange except for a few things that I could not get in orange. So I had the stem, the seat post, I think the cranks were all blue, and then I didn't have the right fork. I had a white fork that was a director, so it didn't have an offset to it. It went straight down to the wheel for the front axle. It was all correct. It had the right grips, the right seat, the whole everything. I built that bike, and I loved that bike. That bike was the right size for me, the way that fit me. I liked it a lot. I rode the wheels off that bike. I don't know what I did with that. I just know in 2015 on my channel, you go back, there is me unboxing a Aaron Ross Pro from Sunday, which is a cheaper version of that bike. It didn't have all the fancy stuff on it. So I rode that bike. I don't know where that happened to that bike. After that, I kind of got out of it. There was one point in time I think after that is when I got into mountain biking. I didn't do a whole lot of mountain biking, to be completely honest with you. I borrowed my local bike shop. I borrowed the owner's bike. He had a Santa Cruz. I'm not too sure what it was, but it was lime green. Super nice guy. He doesn't own a shop anymore in town, sadly. But I borrowed his bike. I took it to a local place to ride. I rode it once. I brought it back to him, and I was like, okay, I've got to build one. So I built a hardtail, something similar to this. I think it was a specialized rock hopper. You know, red hardtail frame. I think it had 26-inch wheels. No idea what fork was on it. So I got really into mountain biking. I started helping with doing some trail repairs at our local state park that we ride at, and that's where these bikes have rode since I've gotten them. I just kind of fell out. I kind of fell off, and I just stopped riding. And I regretted that, because when I was doing road cycling, all the older guys I was riding with, we rode in groups every single week. I rode every single day religiously. It was, I love road cycling for some reason. I put my head down and just go, and I enjoyed it. You know, I'm a teenager. I have all this resilience and just this weird strength. I still have pretty large leg muscles from riding all that time. But here I am. I am 27. I am terribly out of shape. I am very overweight for my height. And, you know, I do find some exercise stuff to be a little challenging. I get out of breath a little easy. I have developed what seems to be allergy-induced asthma, or something of the sort. I'm not exactly sure. So I do have some issues with that kind of stuff here and there, but I need to get back in riding. I really enjoyed the way I felt. I felt good. I kind of avoided the fast foods and stuff like that. I knew even back then how bad that stuff was, and it's only gotten worse. I've learned a lot more about how terrible fast food and stuff is. So this bike was kind of like the Hail Mary. I searched for months trying to find a really good deal on a bike. I didn't care what kind of bike. Road bike, mountain bike, BMX bike. Yeah, 27-year-old fat guy. I'm going to the BMX park or the bike park, whatever, and I'm going to ride bikes. Whatever I got to do to get back in it. Okay? Because I'm going down a deep end, and I'm not liking it. So we had a little bit of extra money come in, and I said, I want to find a bike. You know, I want to build a bike. I want to do something crazy. I'd been out of it. I didn't know anything about dropper posts. I didn't know Hope brakes. I didn't know a lot of stuff. I found a dude 2.5 hours away and I had to drive through 2 different states to get there. And we had worked up a great deal. I had an RC boat that came with my toolbox when I was a technician. It was a Maxxis boat. You know, it and the trailer was worth probably like $600 or so. We had agreed on the boat and all the stuff that comes with it, and $350 for this bike. And that was great. It's a full carbon, 2018 intense carbine. The only issue is it had a hole in the frame here on the rear triangle. That's why the rear triangle is a different shade of gray, because I painted it. I stripped this entire triangle down, did all the carbon fiber repairs, actually on this side, but I did all the carbon fiber repairs to it. You cannot tell that I did any repairs. It seems to be structurally sound. And then as soon as I got done with that, I started to put the rear stuff together, and I was like, you know, all of these bearings are trashed. Every single one is gritty, dirty, rusty. All the hardware seemed terrible. I found the derailleur hanger bolt was stripped. They couldn't even tighten that down. And I said, you know what? I'm going to find a bike shop. I'm going to take this there, drop it off, and say, do what you want. Here's what I'm looking for. Put the best parts in it. And because, I mean, I started off with a 2018 Intense carbine. It's a little older, but it's new enough. It has the Boost 110 axles, which I didn't know anything about until recently. This is all new stuff to me. It has Marzocchi Z1 bomber. It's an older bomber, but it has a bomber front fork, a CR10 rear shock, right, from Marzocchi, which is Fox, right? And I was like, okay, cool. We have a solid foundation to start. It already had SRAM XX1 carbon fiber crankshaft there, crankset there. And I was like, you know, the wheels were bent. They were crap. It has a 1-up 180 dropper, which I didn't know what 1-up was. Started doing some research. I found out about P&W. So we have P&W carbon loam bars. They're still at 800 width. They're 35 rise, or 38 rise, 35 clamp diameter. We have a 50 millimeter P&W loam stem. I had them put some purple spacers there. I didn't really know what to do color-wise. I just kind of just randomly picked purple, and when we put this bike together while we was waiting on this one to get done, we bought this one at the same shop. It's a Kona Lanai. It's a cheap bike. It has a crap fork on it. I already know that. Square taper bottom bracket. It had mechanical brakes. It ended up with some Ibis carbon bars. I put a P&W sticker on there for her. Ergon grips, Code RFC brakes. These were the brakes that came off my bike. I put on there. I put a bottle cage on there. I got her bottle, and then P&W range pedals in purple, an Ergon women's saddle there. So this thing, and I had to change the shifter out to a new Shimano 8-speed shifter because the old one had the brake lever built into it. So they happen to have, at this shop, they had almost all this stuff in stock. They had the P&W loam pedals in purple in stock. They had, well, they didn't have this in purple, or fruit snacks they call it. So they had to order that. Of course, we went with the Hope Evo and with the GR4 I told you about. Love these brakes so far. They're great. I already had these new tires that were already on the bike. These are Maxxis Acid Guy. 200 mil rotors front and rear from Hope. They're full floating. They're not slotted. We have Industry 9 wheels. They had these wheels in stock. They were, $750 for a good set of wheels. 90 teeth of engagement. Love it. Put a new cassette, new chain ring, new chain. Has a SRAM XO derailleur, so that was good. They just changed the jockey wheels because they were bad and heavily worn. And that was the part since, I put an Argon saddle on it too, of course. So that was the stuff that we had to buy and put on there. What they did is they tore this bike completely down to a bare frame, and they got in touch with an Intense rep. Went through, got all the right hardware. So every single piece of hardware for the rear linkage system is all brand new. All the hardware is new. The bearings, everything's new. It's all set up properly. Even that shock bolt says Intense on it. The old one did not. So they really went through and did everything on this bike. It's got new bottom bracket bearings, everything. So the only bearing on this bike that was not replaced was this wolf tooth headset because he said it was in good condition. So we did not change that. Yeah, so I feel like we've got a really good start here. So we're going to start off 2026. I have one ride on this bike since before it went into the shop, and then I got one ride on it after it got back from the shop. And now we're going to make a trip to Asheville area, North Carolina, ride some parks, especially the ones that Seth recommends from Burn Peak, and we're going to have fun. This bike, it's lacking. It needs a new crankset with a single front sprocket. It does not have a front derailleur shifter. That derailleur is just sitting there as a chain guide, and it needs a Fox 32 fork or something like that on it. Because this only has 100 mils of travel. It doesn't need a whole lot of travel, but it needs a lighter front fork on that thing. So yeah, I will try to make some videos. Hopefully, I don't really take these video stuff too seriously because no one really watches this stuff. This is kind of like personal documentation. But yeah, I'm super eager to get out and start riding this thing. We're going to see how this goes. Hopefully everything goes good. No one gets hurt. We got some nice new helmets and stuff as well to make sure we're safe. So this thing's awesome. I really like this. I do wish that rear triangle was a different shade of gray. But hey, it's better than what it was. It was 30 different colors of black. It was halfway sanded off, and it had an absolute terrible repair done to it. I did not know how bad the damage was until I peeled off that repair. It peeled off. I cut it, and it literally peeled off my fingers. So, I'm glad to report that it is my time to shine and to get back on a bike. I'm trying to not limit myself to just mountain biking. I want to get back into road cycling as well. I think I should be able to pull the funds together to get a cheap used road bike. I'm not going to do to this caliber. This is my primary. I want a secondary bike for my off days so I can just go out, hit the road, and get some exercise in still because we got to go. It's got to go. We got to ride. We got to have fun. Life's too short to sit around and be stressed out and be fat, okay? Stop eating junk food. Focus on enjoying life, and let's ride. So that's what we're going to do. Industry 9 wheels, love them. They're super light. They sound pretty great. They're not super loud, but you can hear it just rolling. So yeah, nice tight engagement. So much better than this. Love it. So yeah, we're gonna ride. We're gonna ride hard. So this year, watch out, we ride. So sounds a little cheesy. I don't care. I do not care. No one's watching this crap besides the wife. But hey, she's cool. She understands. I'm crazy. I don't care. We're gonna ride. I don't know what this is. Someone wants to tell me. Is that like some type of frame protection? It's on the down tube as well. Oh, they did. I forgot to mention that, from Intense, they also replaced the rubber protection stuff, like on the bottom of the down tube here in the bottom bracket, the back of the seat tube here. They didn't replace this one because I glued this one on, but they did put the actual Intense carbine one from Intense directly on there. So that was super slick. I like that they did that. I'm a little stoked if you can't tell. Yeah, time to ride. We're going to make a trip, hopefully. We're a little short on funds. I'm going to go do what I can to get the money together, and we're going to go. Because we're going to ride. And the places around here seem to suck compared to everywhere else. So at least that's what I haven't found any good places to ride, I suppose. I'm just used to what I know, and what I know seems to not be all that great. I want to do some jumping. I want to do some downhill, but I don't want, like all the places down here, it's like climb, and then climb. No, come on, let's find somewhere better. So I'm ecstatic.